But I think the biggest area where India is opening up, and it's an area where I think the European Union, the Europeans, should we say, continue to lag behind, has been in the digital economy. What we're seeing right now in India is the creation of giant digital hubs built around digital payments, e-commerce, um, content, and a whole host of other, almost any digital service you can think of. One of them is built around Facebook and Reliance Jio, one of India's biggest telecom companies. Another is built around Amazon. Another one is built around Walmart.com, or the digital version of it. A fourth one seems to be now forming around Google. Tencent and Alibaba, two big Chinese companies which were attempting to create similar hubs, are now almost certainly, after the clashes on the border, going to be banned or deliberately, should we say, discriminated against to ensure their hubs never fully function. But what is noticeable, of course, is that there is no European presence in any of these hubs. And this is the future. The government is deliberately creating what they see as the future of the Indian economy, in which a whole host of these services, ranging from education to media to delivery to even paying your taxes, will be driven by super apps. So this is the future of the Indian economy. The EU is not there right now. Europe is not there, though there is a Nordic presence in some of this, especially in the 5G side and the telecom. But after that, it basically trails off. The other element I would argue that the American Indian side sees an opportunity is that the US-China trade, or to say technology conflict, if you wish, means that, and if this decoupling strategy of America continues apace, we'll definitely see at least a China plus one strategy for a lot of manufacturers. We're seeing that already with the Japanese. We already have a very large Korean presence. We're now trying to attract Taiwanese companies. There are 50 Taiwanese companies have sent teams to India in the past few months, looking to see whether or not they can set up in India. Apple is setting up, has already brought a host of its subcontractors, so has Samsung, to India. We're still a small player compared to, let's say, the Vietnams or the Thailands of the world in this China plus one strategy. But the Indian government has announced 12 sectors in which they are prepared, and they have proposed incentive packages, lower taxes, and so on and so forth, standard stuff that you give, with a deliberate policy to try and bring investment in those areas and create supply chain agreements with those countries. And those include pharmaceuticals, an area, for example, Italy, northern Italy is a big API source. We need to desperately get away from APIs from China, and we're looking for alternatives to that. Aerospace, we're looking at food processing. There's a whole set of these sectors which we're now looking, electronics, we've listed as areas we'd be prepared to look at. And another element, of course, as I've hinted at, and I'll just end with that, is the green technology side of it. Besides the solar, India is trying very hard to get a little movement on wind, but solar is enormous, and India wants to have as much of that supply chain in. And we're already seeing a lot of investments coming in from outside on the finance side. For example, NL of Italy has recently picked up a number of major solar projects. A lot of the sovereign wealth funds of Canada, Australia, German investors have all come in and done the same thing. So we're seeing a larger and larger play in that field, which the Indian government, again, is very encouraging. India is not great on trade, I fully agree, but India, I would argue, is extremely open on investment. And what is missing, and it's something that there's already a special task force working on, is how do you develop a trade policy that fits in with this new investment policy, fits in with the US-China trade technology battle, but keeps China out, which is one of the reasons the WTO doesn't help us, which is also why India is not interested in RCEP. But we are looking for an alternative trade structure that allows us to fit in with that. And it's something where I think some negotiations should be done at some point. I'll just say that on the strategic economic side, India was one of the first countries to come out against the Belt Road Initiative, China, and said we need infrastructure development in developing countries that matches China in terms of its utility, is simpler to provide. Right now, as the president, I think, of Senegal said, if I deal with the Chinese, I can have my road built in the next 5 years. If I deal with the World Bank, I'm still negotiating just the paperwork 5 years later for that same road. So obviously, I'm going to go to China. So we have been working with the Japanese, with the Americans, with the French on how to develop alternatives to the BRI. And the real focus there has been Africa. We've really worked hard with the Africans. We're trying now to work on a whole host of these countries. We are limited because we don't have that much money, which is why Japan has been our #1 partner in all of this. But we're more than happy to work with other countries. The Americans have produced a Blue Dot network. We have been trying to develop a whole set of new sequences with, with other countries as well. But Africa, in my view, is one of the big areas that we can work very closely with the European Union.